Hello and welcome back to Star Citizen, where this time we're going to be taking a look at the Cutlass Black. So if you guessed that correctly after the last episode, then have an internet cookie or something. Basically, it's apparently one of the most popular ships among players, which is probably not that surprising, because as you can see it has a few issues, but it's very well usable. And it sits at a very interesting spot of what you can use it for, what price tag comes attached with the ship and all that. So it does a pretty decent job. So let's talk more about what we can expect from this. Basically, if we start with the combat potential of this ship this time, I've left this one pretty much in its basic configuration. You're looking at 4 size 2 weapons mounted on the pilot-controlled weapon mounts, which puts you basically in the same weight class as some of the heavier fighters. But unlike some of those heavier fighters, you are actually sitting in a medium-sized ship, which means that you have access to medium components, which are way more effective than the components that most fighters have access to. Which means more effective shields, even though you only have one shield generator. And also more effective power plants and coolers and all that, so you should be able to keep up whatever you're doing much better than if you were just putting it into a fighter craft. And unlike the Constellation or most other medium ships, it's pretty maneuverable still. Because it is a medium ship, but it's on the low end on maneuverability. The default weapons that you have are 2 size 2 laser repeaters and 2 size 2 Gatling guns, which do a pretty decent job.
Congratulations. Target is destroyed.
That Buccaneer went down pretty quickly. And now let's also go and deal with that Cutlass Black over there. And generally, all maneuvering characteristics of the ship are still pretty good. I mean, it can turn pretty well, it can accelerate pretty well. Deceleration could be a little bit better, but it's fine. And if you want to improve it, you can always just use the turn and burn maneuver that we discussed last time. So, really, there's nothing wrong with the ship. Then you might want to consider using it for other things too, other than just combat. I mean, regarding combat, you're probably not going to have any issues with the ship if you use it to just deal with anything that's not a large ship. I mean, the firepower definitely is not enough to deal with anything that's larger than a Valkyrie or Constellation in size and has access to large ship components. But against fighter craft, you're pretty decent. If fighters annoy you too much, the ship also has a huge array of missiles that you can unload. So there's really nothing wrong with it at all regarding combat. Regarding trading, I think it could be better. Let's actually just also do this fight here because we're just looking to get into as many fights as we can. Good to have a wing of Buccaneers and a Cutlass. Great. Regarding trading, the situation is a little bit more complicated because, yeah, it's a medium vessel, but among the medium vessels that exist, it pretty much has the smallest amount of cargo space available. I think 40-something? 46 or something like that? Which is quite a lot than, which is quite a bit less than the Freelancer has or the Constellation has. So it doesn't compare very favorably to those in that aspect. However, it still is enough space for certain high-value goods that you can only obtain in small quantities anyway, and that you probably just not get a full haul of more than 40 to 50 off, no matter where you try to buy it, let alone can sell it anywhere. Especially if you're also looking to expand into the illegal stuff like drugs, which are even worse than that, which are even more extreme in that aspect than, for instance, your regular expensive metals.
Congratulations. Target is destroyed.
Let's also try a missile. entirely take it out. What we're getting there. Alright. So, regarding trading, it's a little bit less effective, but the cargo bay is still big enough for all your illegal and high value stuff, so your risk is a little bit lower probably, which doesn't necessarily need to be a bad thing, but of course at some point you'll probably get to a point of being able to invest so much money that it's going to be difficult to just invest all of that in a single haul with the Cutlass. But you could do some trading alongside doing missions or something. Whoa, that's not where I wanted to go. Stop. Stop! There was that. The stupid context-sensitive quantum drive system has messed me up a little bit again. Because we were kind of stopped in quantum drive right in the middle of nowhere, where you would think that you would still get offered, you know, things happening in the same planetary system. But the game actually doesn't think so. The game thinks you're far away from any planet, you're far away from any moon, so apparently you're just out in open space. So you'll just get offered distant planets, and that one looked close enough to the bounty target, so I thought it was the moon that we had to go to, but apparently it was a planet way further behind. No matter. And we're getting dropped again. What the frick is happening here even?
Emergency stop. Contact. Your front shield is hit. Shield system online. Weapons online. Shield system online.
If you think of the Cutlass, you might think it's a pretty bad ship, because you tend to fight Cutlasses when you deal with the AI all the time, and they seem to be going down pretty quick. Even quicker than most fighter craft. But that's a little bit of a... well, that's a little bit of a wrong picture that you get there, because the AI Cutlasses are kind of nerfed, because they have much weaker shields than the Cutlass is normally able to mount. So, yeah. You shouldn't take player Cutlasses as a joke, because they're a lot more effective right out of the gate than the AI Cutlasses are, which are nerfed on purpose so that you can deal with them better. Anyway, where was I? We discussed trading, so trading is okay. But still, you can pretty much do most missions that the game offers. So if you're looking for just a ship that's basically a general purpose ship, the Cutlass is definitely a choice there. I mean, the slightly cheaper choice for that would be to go with the Avenger that we discussed previously, which has very similar characteristics, is a little bit smaller, has a little bit less firepower obviously, and because it's a small ship it can't use better quantum drive, so the Cutlass can get you around quicker than that could, so it makes for a better trading vessel than the Avenger, which, you know, has trading more as like an afterthought, that if you want to dip your toes in that, yeah, you can also do some very minor amounts of trading, but not really. So if I want to do everything but also want to do some form of trading at some point, then the Cutlass is a pretty decent choice in that regard. Of course, everything sounds pretty good so far, but the Cutlass has one problem. Well, actually there's kind of two problems, to be honest. One is, it's a Drake ship. Being a Drake ship means it has very distinctive style that you may or may not like. Let's, for instance, take a look outside. You can see it has a beautiful silhouette from outside, but it has parts exposed and all that, because Drake has a very efficient / minimalistic style aesthetic that you may like, but a lot of people just find very uninviting and not like a ship that you would call your home, that you would call your second home or something. It's good as a workhorse, you know, if you understand your ship as something that should make you money as efficient as possible, and Drake's not bad at that. But if you want a ship that's, you know, something that you love, like the Constellation we talked about in the last episode, then Drake probably not the manufacturer that you're looking for there. The other problem is that it is in a very similar price range to the Freelancer, and the Freelancer just horribly beats it in every aspect, basically. The Freelancer has the same amount of guns, and it has a size increase of size 2 to size 3. Then the Freelancer also has a bigger cargo bay of 66 instead of 40 something. So that's better too. And what do you get in turn? Was the server crashing? Looks like the server is crashing because that thing is not dying. I hope not.
Congratulations. Target is
I just wanted to hang around for a while. Back to the Freelancer. So what's the downside that the Freelancer has compared to this? Well, not really anything, you know? I mean, we already talked about the cockpit view from the Freelancer, which admittedly the Cutlass does have a little bit of a better view. Aside from that, you may like the interior style a little bit more, so let's also take a look around. Here's your cargo area. It can also open doors to the sides here, which if you're, I don't know, transporting some people that can even sit down back here in order to do a ground assault, you know, the vessel can also do that instead of trading. But aside from that, the main strength that the Cutlass has compared to the Freelancer is this thing here, the turret. Because unlike the Freelancer, the Cutlass has a bigger turret with 2 size 3 weapons. And the turret can also shoot straight ahead, so the turret gunner can actually support whatever you're doing in the ship. And together with the turret, you're looking at some really decent DPS. I don't think it's enough DPS that you can take out large ships, unless you go for very specific weapon systems. But I don't think the damage will add up in the end. But it does. You know, if you bring a friend, it does certainly help to make the whole process a little bit more enjoyable. Let's try one more. Okay. Can we get there this time? It's Magda, right? Not the Comrade. Alright.
Quantum drive is now.
But other than that the Freelancer exists, it's a pretty decent ship. Let's also talk about variants real quick. This is the black, which is sort of the base variant of the ship. It's technically classified as medium fighter, medium freight, which is a little bit of an odd design choice, but, well. Currently no other variants exist in the game, but the next patch, that is 3.8, is supposedly going to bring in the Cutlass Red, which is the kind of medical-focused ship, which has a medical station or something that you can, you know, pick up some people and stitch them back together. For whatever reason you might want to have a ship like that, you know? I'm not judging. Whatever mercenary operation you have going on there, I really don't need to know about. But other than that, it's not very clear how the ship is going to change in terms of how much freight can it still carry, what are the guns looking like, and all that kind of stuff. What we do know a little bit more about is the Cutlass Blue, which is the more militia/military focused type of the ship, which, as far as I know, is supposed to get a second shield generator, which covers one of its major weaknesses and also a significant downside compared to the Freelancer. That, yeah, it's basically the same size as the Freelancer, but it has 1 shield less, which is kind of an issue. But with that, you will also be able to have 2 shield generators, which the power system can definitely handle. I mean, we have our weapons primed, and we're only looking at like using 17% of our power generation capabilities, and we could still upgrade it. So I don't see any issues installing a second shield generator there. And, well, aside from that, I don't know how the blue variant is gonna be different. Maybe it's gonna have bigger weapons. I kind of doubt it, because if you increase the weapon size, for instance, it would basically put it exactly as at the freelancer level, just, you know, with a better turret, which I'm not sure if they actually have the balls to go for that, but we shall see. Just saying that as far as I know, I wouldn't buy any of the variants right now because we don't really know what's gonna happen when those come out. Just wait until those come out. Maybe you'll be interested in buying them. It's gonna be a sale with them anyway, probably, when that happens, so...
Shield system online. Missile locked.
So let's take down this Andromeda here. It's probably gonna take a bit of time.
Shield system online. Missile locked.
Come on, die already. Not yet. Want some more of that sweet, sweet Gatling and laser fire. Whoa, what the frick? Did I run into something? I didn't see anything because of the glare. But it's possible that we just ran into debris or an asteroid or something. We just lost an engine though.
Turret is destroyed.
I guess we might have run into something. The thing is even moving. Alright.
Congratulations. Target is destroyed.
As you can see here, we can take care of other Cutlasses way quicker than they would be able to take care of us, just due to their
Target is destroyed.
reduced shields. Anyway, that's about it, I think. It's a nice little ship, you know. If you like the style, then go for it. It's perfectly fine at what it does, and for good reason. It's probably one of the most used ships because it does its job, you know. Doesn't do probably the very best at doing its job, but it's doing alright. Anyway, there's one small hint that I wanted to end this video with, which is when you initially spawn the ship, it's gonna be in this configuration with the engines way in the back, facing down, you know, because it just landed and all that, which, you know, brings up some similarities with, for instance, the Serenity in the TV series Firefly and the movies and the movie Serenity, which had a similar feature with its main drives and all that. However, when the ship is in this state, you can't move very well because you're basically in what used to be hover mode up until recently, and your speed is going to be very limited. As you can see, we're just basically just crawling forward, but acceleration is really bad. So in order to improve that, you just need to hit the J button, which flips the engine into its back configuration, and when that has happened, acceleration will definitely improve. Right? Just because you're wondering, because I always see a lot of people asking, you know, why my engine's flipped down? How do I flip it? You know, it's the J button. It's kind of what we had when we had hover modes that we could flip our engines around. Some ships still have. With some ships, you still manually need to flip those. Unless you're gonna go for something like changing the button from J to N, so it always engages at the same time when you extend your landing gear, which kind of makes sense because when you want to land, you have to currently press J in order to flip those, and then you also have to extend the landing gear by pressing N. While it could technically be one process, but anyway, I digress. Just as a last final tip. But that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, so I'll see you next time. Have a good one.